What if I told you Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier, wasn't a real person but a front for a secret CIA and Mossad operation to control the world's most powerful people? It's been 6 years since his death, yet we're still talking about him, with more questions piling up and no clear answers. How does a college dropout from Brooklyn become one of the most connected men on the planet? How does someone with no obvious business make billions of dollars? Why did powerful institutions shield him for decades? And most critically, who was really behind Jeffrey Epstein funding and using him? The deeper you dig into this scandal, the more it seems we've been asking the wrong questions all along. We viewed Epstein as a wealthy criminal or a high society figure. But what if he was something else entirely, a tool designed to trap the world's elite? When you try to piece together how he built his vast empire, things get murky. The trail vanishes, and it becomes obvious there's more to this story than what the media shares. At his height, Epstein was said to be worth $600 million, living a lifestyle that cost $40 to $60 million a year to maintain. He owned 2 private islands in the US Virgin Islands. Little St. James, a 70-acre tropical paradise with a main house guest villas, a library, a movie theater and staff quarters for 70 workers, and Great St. James, a 165-acre island he bought for $18 million. He also had a 500-acre ranch in New Mexico, larger than Manhattan, complete with an airstrip for his private jets. Add to that a mansion in Palm Beach, an apartment in Paris, and a massive 21,000 square foot townhouse in New York City, the largest private home in the city, with 7 stories and 40 rooms of marble. His parties were legendary, bringing together Nobel Prize winners, tech billionaires, politicians, and celebrities. These weren't just casual get-togethers. They were extravagant events with private chefs, rare wines, and entertainment that kept the world's most powerful people coming back for more. He traveled in a customized Boeing 727, owned a Gulfstream jet, helicopters, luxury cars, and a 130-foot yacht named after his closest associate. We're told all this was funded by one man's genius at trading currencies. But when you try to follow the money, you hit dead ends everywhere. Hedge funds managing over $100 million are required by law to file reports with the government, detailing their trades and assets. Epstein never filed a single one in over 20 years, despite claiming to manage billions. Legitimate hedge funds need partnerships with major Wall Street firms to make trades, creating a clear paper trail. Epstein had personal bank accounts, but no such partnerships. No trading desk, big or small, ever dealt with his firm. He claimed to trade massive amounts of currency, but experts say that's impossible to fake. Moving billions in currency would affect global markets and leave a permanent record. In 2004, someone who met Epstein found he couldn't even discuss currency trading, despite claiming to run a huge hedge fund. That meeting was unsettling. Epstein had a hidden camera in an art object and knew private details about the person's unpublished work, which felt eerie. The person left convinced Epstein wasn't real, but was constructed by someone else for a hidden purpose. To understand this, let's go back to Epstein's early life. Born in Brooklyn in 1953 to a middle-class family, his father worked as a groundskeeper for the city's parks department. Nothing in his background suggested he'd rise to wealth or influence. He started college, but never graduated. Yet, at just 21, he landed a job teaching math and physics at one of Manhattan's most elite schools, hired by a man with ties to the CIA's predecessor. Why would an unqualified young man get such a prestigious job? This was the start of a pattern. Epstein kept getting major opportunities that seemed to come out of nowhere. In 1976, he joined a top Wall Street bank, but left under shady circumstances to start his own firm. He had only one known client, a billionaire who built a massive clothing empire, including brands like Victoria's Secret. This billionaire was part of a secretive group of wealthy businessmen with ties to Israel, some linked to intelligence operations. Epstein's empire grew even stranger. He was given a $77 million New York townhouse for free by this billionaire, who later claimed Epstein stole his money. Then there was Epstein's closest associate, a woman whose father was a media mogul with a mysterious past. Her father was said to be a triple agent, working for British, Soviet and Israeli intelligence, running operations that earned millions while spying for governments. He died mysteriously in 1991 on a yacht named after his daughter. Soon after, she moved to New York and became Epstein's key partner, managing his social events and connections. Epstein's private island was the heart of his network, hosting famous names like politicians, actors, and even a renowned scientist. Visiting the island doesn't prove guilt, but it had cameras everywhere, allegedly recording compromising acts as a form of insurance. One accuser said she was flown there repeatedly and treated like an object, shared among powerful men. The New York townhouse was even more bizarre, with fake eyeballs on the walls, a creepy sculpture, and a painting of a former president in a dress, like a warning that no one was untouchable. Hidden cameras in bedrooms and bathrooms recorded everything, and when the FBI raided the property in 2019, they found safes with labeled CDs documenting abuse, organized for easy access. When Epstein was first arrested, he got a light deal that secretly protected his associates, which broke federal law. A prosecutor said he was told Epstein was linked to intelligence and to back off. Years later, when Epstein was arrested again with serious charges, the story blew up. Everyone he'd ever met, politicians, celebrities, business leaders, had to explain their ties to him, but their stories kept shifting. His bank records showed massive withdrawals and strange emails with code words. A senator found billions moving through one of Epstein's accounts, some linked to questionable banks. Then came Epstein's death in jail. The cameras outside his cell failed, guards fell asleep and faked their logs, and his cellmate was removed, against rules. Surveillance footage was edited, and some cameras mysteriously stopped working. A pathologist hired by Epstein's family said he was likely strangled, not what officials claimed. His associate was later arrested, but moved to a comfortable prison after meeting a top official, which seemed suspicious. Many people connected to Epstein, including accusers and a man who knew him since the 1980s, died under odd circumstances. Now, 6 years later, officials say there's no client list, no proof of blackmail, and the case is closed. But the questions persist. How did a dropout become so connected? How did he fund a billionaire lifestyle with no real business? Why was he protected for decades? Evidence suggests Epstein was part of a massive intelligence operation, possibly tied to the US and Israel. He funded a tech company with a former Israeli prime minister, run by ex-intelligence operatives, selling software that could access people's cameras and data. This echoes his associate's father's old tricks with spy software. The untraceable wealth, the protection from prosecution, the surveillance systems, the targeting of powerful people, and the suspicious deaths all point to something bigger than one man. It could have been a decades-long operation to control presidents, prime ministers, and billionaires through blackmail. The abuse was a tool. The real goal was leverage. A respected intelligence expert called it a secret operation to compromise the elite, but the media barely touches it. The system that built Epstein is still out there, untouched, while victims are silenced. This isn't just about one man's crimes. It's about how power really operates, how intelligence agencies might work without oversight, how the wealthy live above the law, and how our systems can be controlled by hidden forces. The story won't fade because it raises questions about our world that are too big to ignore. Until we know who Epstein truly was and who he served, those questions will keep haunting us.